This is meteorologist Brad Warner for Region Weather Live, your YouTube source for weather across the Dakotas and Minnesota, and I wanted to give just a quick little update as to what's expected for the remainder of the week with this big system that's moving across our region. And currently this Thursday morning, we continue to have this rain area down across southern parts of South Dakota, this blob up across northeast North Dakota, that's heading off to the north and east as we go through time here. And basically what we're going to be looking at through the remainder of the day is some redevelopment happening kind of within this area back and through here, with our main threat for severe weather being in south central parts of South Dakota once again. So I should point out that our slight risk is just south of our region, more so into Nebraska. We do have a marginal risk that does extend up across south central, southwest parts of South Dakota, just kind of maybe grazing what you might call the southeastern part of the state. But generally, that's kind of where we're looking, at least for the best chance for severe weather. As we take a look and step through the model run here, you can see how some of these storms want to develop, especially later in the afternoon around 3, 4 o'clock. Some of these storms developing around Nebraska, southern South Dakota, and again, some of those might be strong to severe with 1 to 2 inch hail, 60 mile per hour winds possible with these storms as they develop. Now, as we get a little bit later into the night, probably past 10 p.m. or so, more than likely they're going to lose a lot of their gusto, a lot of their strength, and so they're not going to last too long into the night, so that's the good thing. But as we get later in the afternoon and into the early parts of the evening, we'll have to be watching out for this area for the potential of some severe weather. Now, Friday is when this system really begins to eject out, but one other thing to note is we do have this high pressure system up here in Canada that might hold a little more firm for those of us to the north and east on Friday. So that's going to kind of hold some of that precip a little bit further down to the south and west. That's a horrible arrow once again. I'm bad at drawing arrows for some reason. But nevertheless, on Friday, where we're looking for the potential for some severe weather was going to be maybe along this line across to sort of central parts of South Dakota, developing and moving off to the north and east throughout the afternoon and into the evening hours. Now, the best chance for seeing some severe weather for Friday is going to be in this area in the yellow here. That's a 2 out of 5 potential for severe weather down in south central parts of South Dakota. That marginal risk raising just a little bit further north and covering pretty much the southern half of South Dakota the way it's looking right now. So that's kind of your best potential for severe weather going into Friday, according to the Storms Prediction Center. And so again, we're looking at those storms developing into the afternoon and evening hours and basically moving to the east and northeast throughout the overnight hours. You can see by Saturday morning, much of that rain is now really getting wrapped up into this system. That high pressure begins to weaken just a little bit and allows some of that rain to move just a little bit further to the northeast. Now, Saturday is going to be a little bit of a change from what I said earlier in the week, just because that high pressure did kind of slow down this system a bit. And where I'm kind of concerned now a little more is going to be the potential for some severe weather, particularly going into the early afternoon hours across eastern South Dakota, southwestern parts of Minnesota, kind of within this region, just kind of a broader area to brush out there. But given this storm is really going to be wrapping up and winding up through our area, that's where we're going to have the potential, at least, of seeing some small hail, some strong winds. But along with that, just because this is such a dynamic system, we can't rule out the possibility of an isolated tornado or two. Now, they might be on the weaker side just because it isn't that real big system that we're, maybe used to seeing with some of these storms down in the central and southern plains. But nevertheless, a tornado is a tornado and they need to be taken seriously. So just keep that in mind on Saturday, that we've got that potential going in. It just has that look, that feel for those of you down across South Dakota and Minnesota going into Saturday. Now, as we go into Saturday night, these storms should quickly dissipate in the way of severity, but look at how this storm really just wraps this moisture in and around. So we're going to continue to have rain. We're going to continue to have scattered thunderstorms across the area going into Saturday night. And here we are Sunday morning once again. Now, again, do we have the potential as we get into the afternoon, just because this is such a dynamic system, for maybe seeing a few cold air funnels, maybe a weak funnel that does manage to make it to the ground and become a brief tornado? We'll see. That's probably needs to be ironed out a little more yet. I'm not as confident on Sunday, but just something to bear in mind, I guess, a little bit going into Sunday, because it is just, again, it's just has one of those looks, one of those feels for this system that we might see a few cold air funnels going into Sunday. As we get into Sunday night and Monday, that Monday morning, we're looking at that system really beginning to wind down. So becoming less of a concern, but nevertheless, we're still looking at some showers, maybe some thunderstorms throughout the day in portions of eastern Dakotas, western Minnesota on Monday. Looking where the Weather Service currently has the greatest amount of rain through the weekend and going into Monday. Kind of from that northwest to southeast, the way it looks, we're having some areas painting of 2 to maybe even upwards of 3 inches of rain are possible with the system by the time it's all said and done. Now, obviously, as you go to the north and east and south and west, it becomes a little bit less. Again, some of you areas that really need it out in east central parts of Minnesota, you're going to get some relief. You should be able to get near an inch with some of this, but obviously that's not going to be near enough compared to the type of drought you're in there. But nevertheless, like I said, we do have plentiful rains coming across our region, across a great part of our region, a lot of our region through the weekend. Couple days worth of severe weather here, and again, Saturday might be the little more interesting one as it's starting to look now. We'll have to keep an eye on that, and as always, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below and the bell button as well. I'm going to have the live stream up over the next couple of days. We'll be following along the chat, and if things really get crazy, I'll make sure to be on the camera to break down the latest in severe weather. All right, everybody, for Region Weather Live, I'm meteorologist Brad Warner, and everybody have a good day.